So that was a little bit anticlimactic. I just had a meeting now at the UCT administrator's office. I wanted to find out if I can get into the courses that I want to study. But it seems that I need to apply online. So I came all this way for nothing. But I think it was good. It got my hopes up to some degree. Yeah, now I need to actually do the whole application process. So I am hoping that I can study psychology and then eventually move into neuropsychology. Fingers crossed. One of the things I have realized is I know it's going to happen because I've decided where I want my life to go. And the one thing that can get in the way is by me thinking it's not going to happen. Because I have two options. I can either manifest making it happen, or I can manifest not making it happen. And I'm deciding to manifest to make this a reality because I believe that it is my calling. In the past couple months, I've just gone quite a big personal and spiritual evolution. Actually, the past year was the start of it. It's actually in a week's time today, will be a year of not drinking. And I had a drink on my birthday, but I think I'll have a drink every year on my birthday because why the fuck not? And the only reason I would be, for example, not drinking on my birthday or not drinking at all is to sound better than other people by not drinking. But it's not like one day of drinking a year has any negative health consequences. As do most substances, as I've realized, is the problem with substances is not using them once or twice or occasionally or in a social setting, but the problem comes when you start using those substances weekly, and oftentimes, especially for me, because whenever I'm using a substance, it is as a coping mechanism and as an escape to escape my traumas for those brief moments of intoxication. The last thing I need to quit, which all of these, they don't just come in time, but what I've realized is once I've become more happy in my own skin, while I'm in the process now of learning to love myself more and process and not process, a better word is integrate my traumas, because I don't think you can really truly eliminate them. And then once you feel better, the need for that substance greatly diminishes. And I noticed this through when not quite all the way yet, but I'm 99% of the way yet there, is quitting my cannabis addiction. And I at first thought that my goal for quitting cannabis was before my 30th birthday, which is at the end of this year. But when I started to feel a lot better, which has obviously taken a lot of work to start feeling better about myself, I didn't feel that need to want to escape my reality as much anymore. And now I've gone from smoking 4 to 5 grams of weed a day on my worst days to having 1, maybe 2 drags of a THC distillate vape before bed. And the only reason I am doing that at the moment is because I'm having all of the withdrawal symptoms at night of night sweats, really hectic dreams, but the dreams I think are more related to what I'm going through in my life at the moment with the breakup and everything, and the anger and sadness and betrayal that heartbreak caused me. So at the moment, when I'm sleeping, I wake up one of the times that I wake up multiple times at night, but I'll wake up sweating, then the next time I'll wake up, I'll be freezing cold, and then the next time I wake up, I'll be sweating. So yeah, also after 12 years of using cannabis for sleep, mainly for sleep, obviously I was using it throughout the day as well, but the main thing it was helping me with was my sleep. And I was also taking other sleep medications on top of that. So now that I've removed all of those and on a new sleep medication, which is lemborexant, or I don't know how to say it correctly, but yeah, I've been sleeping. You can't really say better because I'm sleeping subjectively worse, but I know the quality of my sleep is so much better than it has been in the last decade at least. So that is also why I want to start studying psychology, so I can understand all of these mechanisms a lot better, and also have the ability to then use my studies plus the anecdotal evidence that I've got through my own experiences, plus the self-study work that I will do, that I could really help some people that have been going through a similar situation or similar types of suffering to those that I've experienced over the past 20 years. And on Monday, which I'm quite excited for actually, is I've got my appointment with my occupational therapist, which has been the first form of therapy that's actually really helped me. Obviously, I do a lot of somatic therapies like energy healing, and at the moment, tomorrow I've got my next embodied trauma integration session, then traumatic release exercises, which I've also been doing from time to time. And yeah, I think a lot of people, I don't like it when someone says, oh, you're doing so much for your age, where the last 10 years I've had people tell me that. or not last 10 years, but I was going through a similar chapter in my life when I was 17, when I first learned about spirituality and I was starting to embark on this path. Then I had my first breakup, which, yeah, it was my first relationship, my first breakup. So it made me make some decisions and embark on a path that I didn't actually want to be on. I thought after the first breakup that I was trying to get ahead in life, trying to make some money, but all it did was lead me down a path of many failures, because none of my past career attempts at new career paths actually turned into anything substantial. And every single one of them, I didn't end up losing money myself, but I had to be supported by my parents through most of that. And they had to help me financially on top of the close to no money that I was essentially making. And with my most recent breakup, which could have been just an okay breakup, but this is the one thing that I just can't get my head around, and that's led to this like anger and rage that I've been feeling, especially at night when I've been having all my night terrors. Is she broke up with me and then went and slept with her ex the next day. And for me, it just completely invalidated or just showed me how much she actually truly valued me as a person, because I could not fathom ever doing that to someone. And that's one of the reasons why I think we live in such a toxic society that is essentially seen as a normal thing to do. That someone can think it's okay to break up with you and then sleep with someone the next day. But then not only that, because we try to stay friends afterwards, she felt guilty about it and then told me about it. Like, I'd have rather two options would have been preferable to me. Either if you slept with him during our relationship again, because then I would have been allowed to be angry, but now she thinks it's justified in the fact that we weren't together anymore. But that's besides the point. That's just not something that I think a good person would do to another person. And yeah, that is one of the reasons why, and I'm actually incredibly grateful for, not necessarily for the relationship itself, but for what, through the suffering and pain that it caused me, it made me completely re-examine my life again. And I've realized that even though what I'm doing now seemed more like what I wanted to do with the photography, and don't get me wrong, I love the photography, but I've realized that I want to be doing photography for myself. I love creating content, but I want that content to be for myself, which I'm doing here. And I realized then that I've always loved working with people through my time at the surf school, through the foiling coaching I did with the one client that I had that visited me in South Africa, and then I went to coach in Germany and then came back to South Africa. And that is what I want to be doing with the rest of my life, working with people, but then also helping those that have struggled with similar situations to myself, which is being on the neurodivergent spectrum. That's why I go on a lot of tangents, which is quite obvious if you actually watch my videos, that I am quite severely ADHD. But my ADHD is a lot to do with how my mind works, and not as, yes, it affects my actions as well, but it's mainly, I can't keep one single train of thought. Like in this video, I've probably covered 5 things, but I've bounced between all of them multiple times instead of flowing through one train of thought, or not one train of thought, but one topic, finishing that topic and moving to the next one, where I kind of jumped between multiple topics throughout the whole video. And now I'm explaining how I go off topic, which in itself is going off topic. So I've also believed that, yes, having ADHD and for me potentially also being on the autism spectrum, but I'll be like level 1, if even maybe only touching level 1. And yes, it affects our relationships, it affects how we function in the world, but I believe that it is a gift because it allows for a lot of creativity. And for most of my life, I told myself that I'm not creative, only to learn later on that I am really creative, more in terms of being creative, in terms of problem solving and analyzing subjects from multiple perspectives instead of being locked into one. I think that to some degree it's an increase in self-awareness. I think people that have some of these aspects of neurodivergence, that a lot of them are sensitive people, and for so long it had felt like, well, the world isn't made for sensitive people, let's say that. Especially for sensitive men, because everything we see online, in the manosphere, in content, is that you should man up, that you should be more manly, that you shouldn't talk about your feelings. But I say, fuck that. Like, women say they want a guy or a boyfriend that's sensitive and, what's the word, respects their feelings. But then when they get into a relationship with a sensitive person, and those sensitivities have with them, they are correlated to certain reactions, which my past relationship just showed that so many times that I reacted in certain ways to certain things because of how sensitive that I am. And that was seen as, whoa, Dylan's being too much, Dylan's overreacting. But I just wanted that to be seen as valuable, because I think it's valuable. And hopefully one day I will meet someone that finds value in that. Because again, it seems that many women say online that they want someone that's in touch with their feelings. But then again, when the actions of that person don't suit the situation perfectly, then that's seen as a problem. So this world's just so fucking hard to navigate, to be honest. Like, it's just so hypocritical. Be sensitive, don't be sensitive, man up, deal with your traumas. And what I've just realized is literally everyone is so controlled by their traumas, but so few people are willing to look at those traumas, be able to integrate their shadow, if we can say that. And yeah, that's why I struggle so hard with fitting into the world, because I try to do one thing and that's wrong. I try to do the opposite of that and that's also wrong. And it's like, what is right then? Like, fuck. It's like, my whole life I have not been able to win. I either overreact or I underreact. Like, I can't seem to get it right for what the world wants me to do. And now I've just realized that one of the things I wanted to say in this video, I haven't even got to, because, I mean, that's the one thing I struggle with, is I don't want to create content where I'm scripting everything, because that takes a lot of the fun out of it for me. But then, because I talk and tell my stories in so many tangents, it might be hard for a viewer to follow along with. And yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, because I know that if I put the right energy into what I'm doing and I can do it with love, that I've realized even now with this, everything does happen for a reason. Even, yeah, it's like we were meant to live. Every bad thing that has ever happened, every failure that I've had over my 20s, when I said my 20s have been just one failure after the next, I needed those failures to happen to be able to do what I want to do in the world. Because if I am now going to move into a sort of mentoring space, which I'd love to do, I'd rather become a mentor that has a degree in psychology than a psychologist, just because a psychologist is psychoanalyzing you but doesn't necessarily give you, yes, they give you advice, but they don't help provide a support system that is needed for someone to discover their true purpose. And again, going back to creating content that isn't, that I'm not trying to make to get me known necessarily, but as long as I put in love and I put in all my energy and I have good intentions, I know that this will find the right people at the right time. That when I was younger, I just always said to myself, I want to be able to change the world. But that's almost impossible. And from what I've seen, to get to the point where you have enough of it influence to change the world, it comes with power. And the biggest thing that corrupts is power. Like what I'm seeing with all these podcasters, so many influential people online, is they've all sold out. Like they've got these big brand deals, they're making millions of dollars, and for them to be willing to help you, you have to pay a ton of money. And it's like once you get a certain amount of wealth, you develop more greed to make more wealth, and then that leads you to compromise on all of your morals and the code of ethics that you started with. And if for some reason this ever took off, there would be a very high possibility that it could happen to me. But that's why I don't want to get to that level. I just want to be able to, what I've realized is the most important thing in your life is family and a small community. But we don't need millions to live a satisfying life. Because what happens is more money, more problems. Then it just becomes a whole, now you have to have a financial team to help you maintain your wealth. Let me pause this quick. Okay, so anyway, I'm home now. That was, like, that's the hard thing is, well, first of all, going back to what I was talking about, selling out, we'll see where that goes. I doubt that I'm even going to get enough reach, but I'm going to continuously make as many videos as I can because I enjoy it. And like, I struggled to understand my parents and what they've gone through. So if I ever have kids one day, which I hopefully will, they will be able to watch all of this and be able to see what I was going through when I was close to 30. And fingers crossed that I manage to get into my studies, because that is quite an important part of this. But again, I think I know where I want to take my life anyway. And hopefully it'll be an exciting journey. And yeah, thanks for watching. And I think that I like this car thing, so I'm going to be doing this quite frequently. Cheers.